we talked about generational knowledge, passing it on, squeezing it from Phil, passing it on to me, and then hopefully passing it on not just to lawyers, but to law students and anyone who cares to listen. My name is Danna. I'm a lawyer by trade, but for today, I'm just your case finder, and with me is my colleague, Feranmi Adewole, a third year LLB student. Feranmi, welcome to the podcast, and thank you for helping us set it up. How does it feel, being most of the time, with the back of the production, but now, here we are.
I mean, it's great.
I mean, we keep doing the sample shots anyway, so I don't think it's such a surprise to you. It's not the first time. So, Feranmi's been with us part time for nearly a year and a half. No, nearly a
We
year.
should have done like an
Anniversary podcast. We'll do it on the second anniversary. But tell us a little bit more about you, Feranmi, because I know you. They will want to know you. I'm certain.
So my name is Feranmi, and I'm from Nigeria, meaning that I'm an international student, and I'm in my third year, and I'm interning / part-time work. Yeah, part-time.
Legal part-time work. Legal part-time work, and you're not. You're still focusing on your studies mainly, isn't it? Yeah.
Not really much. I mean, I do a lot of extracurriculars whenever I have time. Well, apart from that, I'm not really a sporty kind of person, but I like to go out with my friends a lot. Yeah, that's me.
Cool. And why? The last time, I don't want to show my age, but the last time I'd been in school or in university was more than 10 years ago. Tell me, what is it like being a student these days?
A lot of deadlines. I mean, it's April, for goodness sake.
And then you're here trying to record a podcast instead of sorting out your assessment. Do you want to give your lecturers a shout out? Can we ask for extension? I do know some of your lecturers. That's quite interesting, because we shared, both of us studied at the University of Hertfordshire. So lots of deadlines. And you mentioned to me this different format, talk about how do you submit your assignments? What is it like? How is it like taking an exam these days? Because in my days, it's pretty simple. You turn up, you bring a pen, and then you write your answers. But I gathered ever since COVID, it's been different.
Yeah, we now use like Canvas. Do you know Canvas? Did you have Canvas?
No, I don't think so. We may have Canvas, but I may have completely forgotten about it. But tell me about Canvas.
Yeah, so like Canvas is like used around like universities and like even secondary schools, I've heard. So like you watch lectures and like review content that the lecturers post.
Yeah.
And you can see like announcements on things like deadlines there.
Yeah.
And so we have, for courseworks assignments, we have most of them in coursework format, meaning that everything's online, and they give us like a span of time. Like in our third year, majority of our assessments are coursework, and they are given within the 4-week period, like specifically that 4-week period. And we're supposed to they give us the question before, and then we do our research and write everything that's related to the problem question given to us.
Right.
And then we submit on the due dates. Like maybe the day they give us the question was the 1st of April.
Understood.
The submission dates will be around the ending of April.
And there'll be preliminaries. You said preliminary information, all online. Yeah. But lectures are mostly online now.
Yeah, we have lectures online, but we go in person for the seminars.
And that seminars, for those that's not in the UK education system, that's mostly when you have a smaller discussion group. Is that correct? And then you answer problem questions together or discuss the topic together. In that way, it's not dissimilar from how we did it in the old days. I sound ancient. I went to school in the same millennium, so. But I think what I found as, quite different is you'd have an exam online and you'd be given 12 hours. You told me, or 24 hours, depending on the topic. And you'd pretty much be left to it.
Yeah. So those kind of courseworks are kind of like, they view it in the sense like it's open book, but even if it's open book, it's not going to really help you because there's so many cases dealing with the problem question that the essence of it being 24 hours, meaning that you've done your research prior
to it.
Them releasing the questions. So like what you're essentially doing is just applying the questions to what you already read and what you already know.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. And in some ways, and viewers can comment on this, I feel it's harder open book questions because there is this psychological pull of wanting to check all your answers from all of these sources that's available to you. But the reality is, as you said, you should have distilled those information already. And what you should be doing is, in some ways, accessing the summary of all these concepts in your mind instead of still opening the entire library of resources. And open book questions in law, at least in the UK, towards the later part of the educational setting, sort of third year, in my case, my LPC year. Most of our exams were open book question, and the only difference, as I've said, is we sit in the exam, but you don't have enough time to go around opening books and reading.
Definitely.
You wouldn't have enough time. What you ought to have is some sort of an index of summarized information.
Definitely.
And I'd like to share this because that's, it's a bit geeky of me. Because a lot of law is about flowcharts, decision-making flowchart. If you have this, then a case must have all these elements in order to succeed. Or later on, when you're talking about procedures, you have to follow a certain stepwise process according to an act in order to company law, terminate a director, in order to, pass a board resolution. And I remember, because of the voluminous information, and because even if it's an open book, I don't really have the time to sort of trawl through about 300 pages. I did this little flow chart in a large piece of paper, and it wasn't even electronic, Feranmi. It was really just pen and paper. And I would look at it, and every time, and I thought what it was to me was a formula for an answer. And you feel like that. You feel like a lot of it is you'll be given this formula for a problem question. There's always apply. What is it? I don't remember, but there was an acronym that the lecturers would say. But the short of it is, even if it was an open law exam, doesn't make it any easier. And I suspect that it's the same for the rest of the requirements. It's not gone easier. It seems like it's harder these days. Don't you? I mean, you're studying in this era rather. But from my point of view, what do you feel are the changes in the world that's relevant to a law student in 2025?
I think a lot of changes are happening.
What does concern you these days? As a third year law student, you look at the world. what concerns you the most?
I think personally, not essentially as a third year law student, I would say the tariffs that are going on currently.
Yeah.
And yeah, the tariffs. I don't want to go into controversial topics.
Yeah, not on your first podcast. We don't want to. We're bold conversations, but not that bold. No, you can be candid. I mean, it's in everyone's mind, isn't it? Obviously, I'd imagine when I was your age, and it very similarly, I got out of university at the height of the recession, and everyone's thinking about employability and economy. Talk to me about it. What's the discussion between your cohorts, between your classmates? What's the strategy these days of young people, of young law students, just young, even any law student per se, because that's ultimately that's the end goal, qualification.
I have been hearing that we're in the Great Depression. No, actually, like it's actually serious, and it's scary too because why now? When I decided that I want to graduate, that's when you want to bring this. So the one advice that I've been hearing a lot among my course-mates is just mass apply, no matter what. Even if you think that this is like way out of your reach, like just apply for it. Like even for this, I was so sure I wasn't gonna get this.
Feranmi, you should have more confidence in your ability, and I say that not just because there's a camera in there, but
I feel like you're right. You need confidence, but at the same time, it might not be about confidence because like I'm the kind of person that I overthink a lot. Like I have gone through every scenario possible about every single thing. So
I'm going to interject because that's actually a pretty good skill in law, because that's the job. The job is to look at the permutations of all possible outcomes, but balance it with try to keep sane for the moment. But you were saying that's the advice from the let's not pinpoint anyone. That's the generic advice these days, to mass apply, to try out whatever you can try out. No, I have sympathy. I mean, it seems like, and obviously when you're in that position and the world is not looking as bright as you wanted it to be, it's quite natural to feel wary about your odds. But my personal, perhaps, advice, or coming from an elderly, not too elderly, I'm not Phil, I don't have 50 years of experience, but we all started from somewhere. So in the same vein, I think every generation has their own challenges, economic outside factors and internal factors. I think they are right to say you must have a go even if you feel you're not ready yet. A lot of us felt that way. I just want to commiserate with you. I mean, when I was starting out, it genuinely felt scary. You've invested a lot of time, money, and everyone else did too, your parents, your family.
Yeah, I think that also has to do with like the trait of like not wanting to be unemployed for a long time.
Yeah.
Like most of us don't want to jump into like employment straight away. We don't want that buffering period.
Yeah. It's good. I'm glad that is the tenor of the younger student these days, and I don't know if it's just because you're incredibly hardworking. I know that, and I hope it's not just you, but the rest. You're speaking on behalf of your generation and your. But I think from what I'm hearing from your stories, the younger people today, in the same way as you'd like to think that younger law students 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, everyone just, that we all had this common objective of wanting to do something practical with what we studied as promptly as possible. And the pressure has always increased depending on this perceived scarcity of opportunities there. Do you feel there's enough opportunities there? Honestly, and don't, yeah, honestly, we can all be honest. Yeah.
I do not.
Yeah, the same, me too.
Yeah, because like apart from the things that you volunteer for,
Yeah.
places that offer like paid what they call it that reinstate you
Paid work.
paid work is really hard to get by, because most of the time even like small companies small firms that open up work experience, they want the best of the best of the best. And sometimes you might have done really great at school, but your secondary school grades were absolute trash. So like it just kind of like you kind of like wonder the odds of you getting some things. Yeah.
I think, and this is from the point of view of, and I absolutely empathize with that. And you can never, you don't know what they're looking for, and you don't know the competition as well, isn't it? And there's always that problem in let's call it a balancing act of, obviously, because there's a surplus, let's call it, of talents, there is obviously this tendency that the bargaining position lies with employers, let's be honest. And that means that there is this tendency in the first few years of your life that you will be competing even for volunteer jobs. And there are, and I've heard this, that, some younger entrants of the industry would say, well, we feel that, it's conducive to being misused, that. But then in the longer term, I think it's also in the best interest, and I, have been in management for a while now, not just here, but in a previous firm. We feel that it's in the best interest of the employer still to invest properly in retaining good talent. And that means having the right incentive package, and making sure that, quite bluntly, they don't feel, that they're completely being economically abused. That's from, because if you look at it just plainly, we're lawyers here. At the end of the day, your bargaining position as a lawyer gets better as you mature in the industry. And it's obviously, if you are doing well, and if you are able to bring to the table the value that an employer is looking for, it is in their interest to give you the package that probably you will be seeking. So the moral of the story is, yes, in some ways it is still a very, very robust survival of the fittest. Quite bluntly, do you feel that? It is. It's very competitive. I think there's no, we can't say that it isn't. It's still very competitive. Why do you think young people want to be lawyers these days? Why do you guys want to be lawyers? I want to understand. Yeah, go on. Yeah, this is, let's pretend they're not here. It's just you and me over lunch.
The money.
Of course it is.
I've maintained my answer from my first year till now, and I will never change it.
And it is quite common. It is.
I would say there were a few.
Status or money or both?
Sorry?
Status, money, or both? Both.
Yeah. Because, I mean, not everyone can say, oh yeah, I'm a lawyer. Like,
be a lawyer, but if you don't have the money, it's not really going to give the advantages.
Yeah, and I feel like, especially from where I'm from, where the main occupations were lawyer, doctor, engineer, you kind of like had a limited scope of what to choose from to make good money, especially in the times that we're in right now, with economies being the way they are. So yeah.
Do you know what? We're similar in that way. I told you I got out of my first degree, a business degree, in the middle of one of the biggest recession ever, and I had, and that was 2008, 2007, 2008, and I remember, just for anecdote, and you won't remember this. I came to the UK on the same day that Northern Rock, which was a big bank, collapsed, and it was like, that was the headlines everywhere. And because I was doing a business degree, coincidentally, financial recession was one of the topics, and it was all bleaky, and it was very bleaky for a little while. And just like, what you said, I had to find a job, a career with a bit more sturdy shelf life, that can't be completely uprooted by something like a recession or the Great Depression, as you pointed out. Hence, yeah, so you could say in the same way it was true then, at least for me anyway. It was financial stability, or the hope that it will be a gainful employment, and it will be a quite stable gainful employment. Do you think that will still be the case given AI? What's the young people's thoughts about that? Because I didn't grow up around AI or all this. I wouldn't call it concerns. Development. Let's call it development. What are your thoughts?
I think AI is changing a lot of things. I think a lot of people um are on both sides of the arguments, even the younger generation. But I would say a lot of the younger generation that's being against AI, because
Really?
most of us, yeah, like I said, we're entering like a time where it would be hard to like get employment straight after graduation. And with the use of AI, there is this kind of like fear that companies are becoming more reliant on AI and less reliance on people. And by creating space for AI, they're essentially eliminating people from the workspace space. So yeah.
Interesting. And that's been a sentiment that you feel is being expressed nowadays by the younger generation. It's
I
quite
mean, you can see it in like various platforms. Like let's say, when it comes to artificial artworks, where AI is now creating um these artworks instead of artists that are paid less,
Yeah.
because of the existence of these competitors in the markets. So yeah, you would say that it is frowned upon by the majority, but there are still few that believe that AI has a place and should stay. But I think they are the minority as of now.
interesting. Well, that'll be the part one of the introduction of Feranmi, the third generation here at the Case Finder, because we need to go to lunch now. That's the highlight of our day. We wanted this to be a mukbang, but I think we need to wait for 6 months, and then we'll come and bring you to lunch. Yeah, we'll probably do one of those. What's so trendy these days? So Feranmi tells me what's trendy these days. We'll do what do you call that? A life in the day.
Oh, like a vlog.
Yeah. It's probably going to be a lot of eating.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. So, well, with this one, we hope to inject a little bit more of the extemporaneous conversations that we have, a little bit less formal, I suppose. But in any event, we're still going to be talking about current affairs, about cases, maybe cases that Feranmi learned last week or this week at her university. Bold conversations, but not too bold that Feranmi can't get a job anymore. In any event, I'm Danna. I'm a lawyer by trade, but for today, I'm just your case finder. That was fun.